70%. It's become a well-known number this week. 70% of Republicans do not believe the election was free or fair. Neither do a third of independents. But surprise, 96% of Democrats do think it was fair, unlike last time.
I think the interference, although not yet quantified, if fully investigated, would show that Trump didn't actually win the election in 2016. He lost the election, and he was put into office because the Russians interfered on his behalf.
Trump knows he's an illegitimate president.
He's an illegitimate president in my mind.
Folks, look, I absolutely agree.
He absolutely agrees. Trump is an illegitimate president. Biden said that nearly 3 years after Trump was elected. With the exact same number of electoral votes, Biden now claims. Biden says Trump was an illegitimate president, but now demands that you accept his legitimacy. We all knew this wasn't going to be a fair election, and we said so on this show. Trump had the entire establishment against him. He had the alliance of bias against him. How can an election be fair when nearly 100% of the media is working for one of the candidates? Remember all that propagandizing dressed up as fact-checking? Trump claimed without evidence. Trump falsely said that. When did you hear a single one of them fact-check Biden's string of lies? Biden claimed without evidence that Trump would bring fires and floods to suburban neighborhoods. Biden's pledge that no one earning under $400,000 would pay more tax has been debunked by experts. Biden said, falsely, that he never discussed his son's business dealings with hostile foreign powers. Never once did these sanctimonious, self-appointed guardians of the truth ever apply the slightest scrutiny to Biden. Biden's campaign was explicitly designed to avoid scrutiny. To use their favorite terms, Biden's campaign was systemically lying, structurally dishonest. Add to that the media's polls, 17 points behind in Wisconsin, blue wave coming, it's all over for Trump. How could that not unfairly suppress the Trump vote? They don't even deny all this. Now they turn around and smugly claim that they, wait for it, saved democracy. That was literally a headline in the Washington Post this week. Has there ever been a more vain, self-righteous, deceitful group of people than America's establishment media? Well, perhaps the other half of the alliance of bias. How can it be a fair election with big tech suppressing information that could hurt their candidate? Systemic censorship, pro-Biden censorship. The tech oligarchs said they wanted to democratize information. They ended up controlling it and using it to control the people. But the injustice went far beyond the alliance of bias. How can it be a fair election when the Democrats recklessly made massive late changes to the voting system, all of them designed to help themselves? Pelosi's been pushing this for years. Automatic voter registration, universal postal ballots, dismantling state voter ID laws. With the pandemic, they seized their chance. Not just mass mail-in voting, but scrapping security precautions like signatures and witness requirements. Combine that with voter rolls that the Pew Foundation found as far back as 2012 are, quote, plagued with errors. Plus the completely indefensible racket of ballot harvesting, and you end up with an election system straight out of a banana republic or big city political machine from the 19th century. We desperately need reform and national standards that everyone can trust. And the first step in that is investigating every irregularity in this election to pinpoint the problems. But the Democrats are fighting these efforts, so their changes stay in place. This was the meddling. This was the undermining of democracy. None of it was Trump. None of it was the Russians. All of it was the Democrats, millions of Americans thinking the election was rigged, the collapse of trust in our system. It was you, the Democrats, who did this to America. And as usual, you blame others for the exact thing you're guilty of. What charlatans, what cynicism. Just look at Pelosi. For months, she held up vital relief for our workers, small businesses, schools, so she could hurt President Trump. Now she turns around and screams about how urgent it is.
This is a red alert and all hands on deck, but it should have been a long time ago. The president and the Republicans in Congress have ignored, by delay, distortion, denial.
What? Has there ever been a more cynical, manipulative hypocrite to disgrace the political stage? On top of that, the cynical plotting of big business and big bureaucracy to deny President Trump credit for the vaccine. The FDA put in a 2-month delay to push it beyond the election. Pfizer announced it the first business day after Biden was anointed by the media, and just in time for the CEO to cash in millions of dollars of shares. They even told Biden before the president or the public. The Pfizer vaccine head said they were never part of Operation Warp Speed, but they were part of it, as their PR team had to admit the next day. They'll get $2 billion from the government. Trump made that happen, and Pfizer lied about it to suck up to Biden. Now we know where corporate America stands. They hate Trump's pro-worker agenda and want their power back. Last week, over 24 top CEOs held a secret meeting to plot a coordinated attack on the president. Big business, big media, big tech, big money, the big government bureaucracy, all of it lined up against Trump. It's a miracle the election was so close. Trump got more votes than any president running for re-election in history. The second most votes overall. You could say Trump is the biggest vote getter in history because he's even responsible for Biden's votes. None of those people voted for Biden. The whole election was about Trump. Love him or hate him. We know the establishment hate him, and now they want to see him and his supporters destroyed. Jake Tapper shamefully called for the persecution of Trump supporters. No job for you if you dare question the election results. The Trump Accountability Project called for a list of Trump enablers. It would have been a long one with over 70 million people on it. They called for a ban on pro-Trump books, a boycott of their publishers. Why don't they just go all the way and make piles of books and burn them like the fascists they are? This is frightening authoritarianism. It's how the communists treated my grandmother in Hungary for the crime of allowing her daughter, my mother, to escape to the West. How dare these people talk about unity while behaving like this? Barack Obama smears every American who voted Trump in 2016. You're a racist. Michelle Obama smears every American who voted for Trump again. What a pair of divisive, condescending haters. A time to heal, said Biden. What he really means is come to heal. They don't want unity, they want submission, total submission. No. Here's what we owe them, nothing. Peaceful transition of power. Don't make me laugh. At this exact point 4 years ago, Obama and his gang were working to cripple the incoming Trump administration, and Joe Biden was right at the heart of it. They weaponized the FBI, the intelligence agencies, whatever they could think of. So, let's uphold that Democrat norm. The FBI is reportedly investigating corruption by Hunter Biden. So, following the Democrat norms established in 2016, expand it to Joe Biden and whether he's compromised by a hostile foreign power, China. At this exact point 4 years ago, Democrat activists were meeting and plotting to destroy the new regime. No cooperation, no collaboration, all-out war, the resistance they called it. So let's uphold that Democrat norm too. And no, that doesn't mean putting politics ahead of people's lives. Look at everything President Trump achieved, despite the harassment, impeachment, and resistance. The establishment can't wait to get their power back. Their smugness is insufferable, their arrogance unbearable, their authoritarian tactics un-American and unacceptable. Biden's transition team is a swamp takeover. His priorities: national lockdown, open borders, Paris climate preening, bringing back racist brainwashing. It's government of the elite, by the elite, for the elite. Who's happy if Biden's in the White House? Our biggest enemies, China and Iran. No. The fight against the establishment goes on for the people, for workers, for families, for communities, for America.